to Still Dripping Happy Hour.
Welcome to episode 140 of the Still Dripping Happy Hour. This is your host, Mason, on the move tonight. We got Hayes. Holla.
Hey, guys. Oh, shoot. You ruined it.
Oh, my bad. I thought you wanted to be singing. I'm sorry.
No.
The professionalism is shining through. And we have a very special guest tonight. Hayes, I'll let you do a brief introduction for us.
All right. So we've mentioned him several times on the podcast. I feel like he's become a pretty quick drip army, maybe sergeant, or you're not a private. I feel like you're more than a private.
I'm definitely. I've been. You and me been caught in a foxhole more than once. Am I right, big dog?
That's right. That's right. But I've mentioned him several times on our podcast, and that's. Well, it says Cowboy Coop. You're way more than Coop Clean, but like that's what we know you as because that's what I've talked to you about you as. So that's what we'll call you. But you know what? It's Cowboy Coop. That's who we're talking to tonight.
Yeehaw, boys.
Wonderful. Well, welcome
in.
Yep, it's a pleasure, a gift, and honor to be here. I truly have been blessed by the Still Dripping Happy Hour. I cracked a cold one. I cracked a Croy myself, and now I'm sipping and dripping on this holiday eve.
Sippy and drippy.
Ooh.
All right. I feel like we should do all this stuff, Mason.
Okay. Go follow us on
do that.
Instagram and YouTube. Subscribe on YouTube. We're getting a little steadier drip from YouTube, so we'll see. We'll see if that continues on. Yeah, if you're not on YouTube, you can come see Hayes' ugly mug right now. Looking a little bony. You're so weird. Is this the same skeleton that rapped?
Yes,
on the pod?
This is the skeleton that rapped. He's
wonderful.
Multifunctional.
And I don't remember what all I said, but go follow the algorithm. Like,
do that.
Unlike
cookies
subscribe, resubscribe, cookies on the bottom shelf. Follow the cards one. And with that, let's just go ahead and get started. I guess we'll start out with. Okay, go ahead.
Let me just tell a little bit about him. Okay, so I think I've said a little bit of this story on the podcast, and that this dude who just started at my work, and we don't talk about where I work. It's my government job. Anyway, he started there, and I feel like. Coop,
bro, honestly,
what
pause.
Shoes
dude.
Did I have on?
Hayes, hold on, dude. Be ashamed of that you get a job at the rehab place that changed your life, dude. It's not embarrassing to just be proud of that, okay?
That's fair.
Big turnaround, and now you get keep your head up, big dog.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So that job that I have. I walked in maybe his first or second day, and I had on some pair of shoes, and he was like, "Oh, I see you've got on some. I don't even know what it was. Some Jordan 1s." So yeah, what? So you know some shoes, and I'm assuming it's bull crap, and you know how this goes, just trying to make some fake rapport. And then the next time I came in with something more rare, and he's like, "Oh," and then he knew what it was, and I was like, "Oh." So he's legit. But come to find out, this guy had his own sneaker podcast at one time, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we just hit it off. And so we sit next to each other. He's a great guy, and I thought he'd be a fun hang on the happy hour. And now he's a regular listener.
Mm-hmm.
Is all that fair?
Yeah, absolutely fair. Also, guys, I'm coming to you from an undisclosed location out in the backwoods of Middle Tennessee. So. If I'm just smiling and nodding, it's because I'm waiting for the internet to catch up. But I'm locked in tonight on the Still Dripping Happy Hour.
Adversity is one of our key tenets, so that's wonderful.
Let's just say we're locked in and clocked in after hours, boys. And Hayes, I'm sick of the skeleton, dude. I'm sick of it. Because it was a funny little joke. Mason, blow him up, dude. Take him widescreen.
You're right.
There he is.
That's part of my shtick on this one.
Hayes
This
likes
is a
to
good
say
shtick.
he plays a character, but we all know that this is actually the true him. So
I was gonna
Coop
say,
knows.
yeah, as somebody that works side by side with him every day, not a huge difference in the Hayes in real life and Hayes on the pod.
agreed.
Just as many tranny jokes, just as many like.
You get the
Hayes
real
will also
deal.
do this thing I was describing it earlier. Where he'll try to basically like cut a story short, but to elaborate a feeling, but then he'll use things that it doesn't make sense. Like for instance, if I were to say, well, so barefoot Lego, you know exactly, oh crap, you stepped on a Lego, that hurts. But Hayes is like, and you just got to think, if I'm a skeleton fan, I'm not going to like beats. And that's just something you got to know. Skeletons and beats, they don't, but not like that beats, like farm. And so you just got to know that going into it, you're going to have to just think in your head, skeletons and beats. Okay. And those are just two things you got to know. So, and you're like, what are you talking about, dude? Like, what do you, but then they get
I'm
it.
not even I can't even say anything. But what I say is what you see is what you get. Right?
Yeah,
What you see is what you get.
Very much so.
Tell us about your sneaker past though. Because you were big, again, all of us, Mason and I were talking about this right before you jumped on, is that I feel like all of our sneaker whatever is pretty low right now. Which is funny is that we still have a sneaker podcast because none of us are even buying sneakers. And so,
yeah,
but I know
Mason,
you've been there and done that,
dude. Mason, I got to confront you as a longtime listener. Well, let me air my grievances first before I jump into my sneaker history. Number one, Hayes Holla. If it's not a shoe that's worn on the hardwood, he has no open mind to anything. And so if it's not,
it's bullcrap.
Well, he thinks it's ugly. When we were talking about the sock knees, when we talk about golf shoes, when we talk about runners, if it's not freaking mid 2000s and 90s and someone with a shooting sleeve wears
That's
it,
not
he doesn't
true.
care. So
false.
Yes. Number two,
does
Mason,
Kanye West wear a
the
sleeve?
pod for probably 2 months. I've been listening to the pod for almost 2 months, and it still doesn't seem like we pulled the trigger for an on-court shoe.
No, you're right. Right, I'm wearing the Jordan 31s lows still, so.
And I was doing
struggling.
some pre-call research. I was doing some pre-call research, listening to some pods, and when we were talking about Nike ID, and you're like, I actually think I may pull the trigger on these. Let me guess.
You caught me.
Okay.
Yeah, haven't pulled the trigger yet.
Listen, I would just go ahead and rip the Band-Aid off. Mason's other thing for 3 years now is when am I going to break the seal on not buying a Nike or Jordan?
Yeah,
well, that's also not happen.
Yeah, that one is a money issue right there.
I hate to see it.
Basketball is less than money, but keep going.
My grievances.
I love it. I appreciate it.
The other thing is y'all are too hard on old boy Landon because he's the only one with a truly open mind, trying to diversify himself into a new realm of existence with his. He's also known as the Gore-Tex Guston.
What does that even mean?
Y'all are hating on him because again, it is one. Hayes has such a closed mind. Hayes doesn't tie his shoes additionally, so if you can't wear them all flopped out, then he doesn't care about it.
He's not lying. All this is facts.
Yeah, this is all true.
I'm not even I can't deny it.
And then when I listen to the shows,
look at his face frozen.
Like the Captain Planet of the group, meaning all powers combined.
Oh man, that's very kind of you.
Am I back? Did I freeze?
Yeah, you're back. You're back.
Okay. I was saying Dan is Captain Planet, all powers combined. Truly the most level-headed and diverse sneaker fan of the kind of rogues gallery.
Wow. I don't know if I agree with that. I feel like I'm the most diverse, believe it or not.
Hayes, dude.
I do
a break.
How many shoes do I wear into the office every week that are not built for the hardwood? Many.
What you've got like 2 pairs of Yeezys you wear.
Okay. If that's it, I have 3 pairs.
Don't forget, he has some Golden Goose.
Yeah, and hold on, Mason. I'm gone up. You know what I'm saying? Quack quack. Anyway,
He also rocks the Golden Goose. That was one of the first times I knew he was legit. Is that the dude showed up?
Yeah,
Golden
dude,
Goose.
friggin' gone off the goose, big dog. But anyway, so it is a fun when you listen to the pod, you get to learn a lot. But again, Mason, I'm there with you in terms of which this brings an overall story arc that I've observed of the Still Drippin' Happy Hour. And that is, it's a bunch of guys who used to really buy shoes, and now they just talk about buying shoes.
That's fair.
But in the more than sneakers moments, right? It's the little gems of parenthood that I pick up that really, it's this delayed gratification. It's the, I did this so I can do this. It's those shared moments and memories that, it's really turning the corner. For a generation of young men that were so, focused on consumerism. And so it's truly good to see you guys paving that way. Nashville's sneaker podcast.
Man, what a commercial. This
hit me right in the feels right there. Yeah.
Why did you get out of the game?
Great question. So I grew up trying to think of the sneakers that describe me. Number one, what got me into sneakers is skateboarding. So I grew up a skater. I didn't do basketball, baseball, football all through elementary and middle school. Like, I was a skater. I had hair down to my shoulders, hitting up the skate parks, kick flips, tray flips. Those were my heroes. So skateboarding is what got me into sneakers originally, just caring about skate shoes. And then in the 20-teens, 2013 was when I really tapped in. And that was probably what became the Roche Run and Flyknit era. It became the certain sneaker YouTubers. I remember watching Yo Anti on sneaker YouTube, and again, this kind of the pinroll jean type, whatever. So I got into that, and that parlayed into the kind of supreme Jordan phase of call it 15, 16, 17, 18, into all the Jordans, Jordan 1s and beyond, really dialed in. I have, some 2016 not Chicago's Bread ones, something, I'm about it. If people think are
they your size? Wait a second. I don't remember. Are those your size? Do you ever wear them?
No. But if people if they forget, I still have it. You know what I'm saying? So
you got the receipts.
Yeah, for the peons and cleons that are just wearing their whatever dunks that they got at the outlets and they're thinking they're sharp stuff. Here's the thing, dude. We still have the heat. I'm Cowboy Coop, so I don't wear sneakers, but don't try me, okay? Is the thing. And so I was super wrapped up in it. To Hase's point, between 2020, middle of 2020 to spring of 2021, I hosted a podcast with a really great friend of mine, and we were called Fits of Faith. We're about faith and fashion, and we would interview people from all walks of life, designers, creatives, artists, musicians. We had a dude on the podcast that's a good friend of mine today that literally is just a carpenter, but I just liked his swag. And we would just interview people, and we would talk about God, Garms, and the guys, which is ourselves. And sneakers was a big part of it, and just clothes and everything. So I worked in youth ministry for 10 years and really cared about clothes and fashion and somewhat of the Christian rat race of gear and whose church merch is the sickest and this, that, and the third. We were kind of the opposite of Preachers and Sneakers, our podcast. We would highlight what people wore and enjoyed it, and all that. And so I was really wrapped up in that, and the podcast was actually very successful. Not as successful as Still Drip and Happy Hour,
Or whatever.
but in terms of numbers, we had like 300 to 400 listens an episode. We had like 1,200 we had 1,200 followers on Instagram. We had international guests and audiences, and it truly was really fun to do with my co-host. It was one of my really best friends. And we would do it all. And so it's still up. Like, you can still go listen to it. I feel like I'm a completely different person than I am now than the person who did this anyways. And I would just devote so much input to sneakers and footwear and fashion. And I'd think critically about a lot of this stuff. And then here's the long story. Number one, I got let go from a job. I got fired. Like, they were like, yep, today's your last day of church job. And that kind of rocked me. Felt very just skilled, qualified, just kind of like a loser. Like, oh, okay, I just got fired. And then I get into this job in this world, this when we're living in Colorado, and try to keep up like this old pace of my life. And my wife and I then have a miscarriage in spring of 2021. And again, tried to keep up this like hosting a podcast every week, caring about clothes and whatever. And basically the demands of life and where I felt like God was leading me was into this phase where, number one, I'm like ruthlessly committed to my family. And number two, like everything else just has to simply fall away besides him and focusing on my family. And so we made the choice to like end the podcast. I deleted and got off my Instagram like from that day forward and haven't looked back. I nuked my personal Instagram like earlier this month. So like I've had an Instagram for over 10 years and I just deleted the entire thing. And just dove into like the concepts of family and spending time with my family and health and fitness. And, I feel like I found my calling in this like Western wear vibe. And it's partly this story of like, I wanted to feel like a man and I wanted to look like a man. You know what I mean? And so I swore off sneakers for years. And I'm just like, this is a demarcation of the little weenie loser Carson that got fired from jobs. And where now I'm like, no, I'm aiming to be a top performer on our team. And exactly. And I got 3 kids now, and God's done a lot in my life. But in working with Hayes and listening to the podcast, it rekindled this, I won't say passion, but this, oh yeah, like I can have an opinion about shoes and not consume my life. And, that's what some of this is. It's the podcast of guys that used to buy sneakers, but still care about their opinions of shoes, and they hang out with their buddies. So that's where I've, garnered the most, or that's the most enjoyment, is commiserating on, shoes that we do or do not own anymore. So, and then I did acquiesce a pair of New Balance for my birthday this past October. And so that I will not say I'm back in the game, because I'm definitely not. Yeehaw! I'd rather get a pair of Double H boots, than a pair of threes. And I'm just not down with the swoosh anymore. Haven't ever been down with the 3 stripes per se. So it's really narrow in terms of if I were going to sign a deal, like who do I actually pledge my allegiance to? So far, the New Balance, Made in America has gotten my business.
So it's the whole sweatshop and China stuff? Is that what you turned you off to the other stuff?
No. Okay. It's not the sweatshop in China. You would know, Hayes.
I would know. I would definitely know. So,
but I used to have it, boys. I used to have it, man. I had the bread ones. I had Royal ones. I had 2012 Chicago ones. I have Spider-Man Homecoming, Far From Home, or what are they? The Spider-Man Chicagos, the Into the Spider-Verse Chicagos. I have Cyber Monday ones. I have Cyber Monday 3s. I had Bread 4s at a time. Like,
you went all in.
I had it. So again, don't test me. I had the Supreme Blazers like Hayes has. I had the pink ones. I had Fear of God, double strap. You
I
know,
love
whatever.
the double straps. I
Um,
have those set out for tomorrow. Ironically, what
so,
do
anyways, it's like
so?
I had them.
How does our podcast compare to yours?
Similar in that, you know, it's you and really great friends. We would have guests that I basically cold prospected. Like it'd just be people I met on Instagram, and I said, "Hey, you know, we host a podcast about faith and fashion. As I followed your account, we'd love to have you on." And I would start every episode with like a ton of monikers. So when I called Landon the Gore-Tex Gusto, like that's like the type of thing I would do. Like I would list out like 15
Yeah, you're like the
monikers for
riff.
someone.
You're like the riff-raff of podcasting. You
No.
don't even do you understand that reference? Do you know who riff-raff is?
Yeah, Hayes,
Okay.
I do. I know who Riff Raff is.
Okay.
But we would interview people and we would just talk about, it was about faith and fashion. And then there'd be basically an interview segment, which was like everything we wanted to know. And then we would just talk about like brands and styles they're into. Like the dude who became a really good friend, his name's Austin Westlake. Shout out to him. Basically, his whole episode, we talked all about selvage, raw denim, and like that whole world and process of like selvage denim, and learned all about it. And then we'd have people there's a guy, another really great follow on Instagram, Awesome Fits. His name is Dom Jones, DOMJONES. On TikTok, he's called Dapper Dom, but just like another awesome dude, like great swag, great taste in sneakers and vintage and thrift and everything. And so we would just have all types of people and just kind of chop it up for about an hour or so.
That's the best part, is the interviews by far. It's so much fun to get to know people that, like you said, whether it's cold calling them or somebody you know briefly, but getting to know them and what makes them tick and what gets them excited. And yeah, that's my favorite part, at least.
Is I think I thought, and how do I put this? Because it was so limited. Again, I won't say we tasted success, but like if I got to talk to like recording artists and like real deal fashion designers, but you guys get to chop it up with good friends and maintain a relationship with people on a weekly basis, it's like, dude, I would take this every time than talking to someone that could further my podcast career. You know what I mean? Like the commitment to friendship and community, where even if no one listens to it, I had a checkpoint with like my actual good friends. I felt like I did so many episodes, or me and my co-host did so many episodes with guests, because we thought like, oh, nobody wanted to like hear us.
We have this conversation all the time.
And it's like, even if who cares what people want to hear, but also to the enjoyment of what we enjoy. Again, it's like, I think it truly is a courtesy that you guys allow the world into, that you allow the courtesy of record. Ooh, that's a bar right there, dude. I'm a youth pastor. Ooh. Like the fact that we allow anyone into our life truly is an honor to them, because guess what? Like, you're not paying my bills. You're not, like, I don't owe you jack. So the fact that we give us the courtesy of record to, you know, learn about y'all's life, and, you know, Hayes being 10 years older than me, I learned a bunch from him about parenting and work and whatever. And just, you know, when you get to hear people from different stops on the road and they talk about, oh, like on the episode I was listening to, y'all were all talking about football and your kids watching football and the memories you're going to make watching football and the habits. They're like, oh crap, my son now folds his arms behind me when I watch. It's like, that's so much more valuable, again, than like a person with more notoriety talking about pieces of rubber and glue that we wrap our foot in. And right, all perspectives are great, but it's just like, that's almost more of a testament. That's a bigger flex that Hayes has for 3 or 4 friends that are committed to doing something with him weekly, than it is like, oh yeah, you got fill in the blank person to do your podcast on their media tour as they're talking about their new store or sneaker collab or whatever.
Wow.
You know, it's a bigger flex in your 30s
Wow.
that you have 3 friends that you're actually tight with than some random stranger who spent 45 minutes with me.
Wow.
This-
Thank
you're
you. I don't
preaching.
know what to say. Yeah, I mean, I think you've summed up what our goal is way better than we could say it. So appreciate that. It is, like you said, it's always appealed to me to be more about. I mean, we can get on and talk about sneakers. Everybody can do that, and in my opinion, doesn't really matter. I mean, it shouldn't matter in the course of anybody else's journey of sneakers. But yeah, to be able to share, it's therapeutic for me, at least, to be able to share with Hayes or get advice from Hayes, like you said, on being a dad, or just living life. And that's what happens before the podcast, after the podcast, throughout the podcast, I guess. So yeah, thank you for saying that. That means a lot.
Yes, sir.
That is very kind. We've always, well, it started as a sneaker podcast, right? That's why we kind of call ourselves a sneaker podcast, but we do intentionally try to make it way more about that than just that, or way more about life. This is just community, and it's wrapped up. We Mason and I, Mason, what are you, 28, 29?
29, yeah.
He's 30 and I'm 43. And so I was Mason's youth leader. Like, that's how our connection happened to begin with.
Basketball
And
coach first.
basketball coach, youth
Yeah.
leader, whatever you want to call it.
Was it that you noticed he had, he enjoyed music with drums, and so you're like, come back outside the church and I'll show you something real hot.
No, we weren't at that kind of place.
Okay.
But nonetheless,
Come out
no, we
back
just
and
hit
I'll
it
show you
off.
the
We
real word of God.
Listen, you just have similar. We had similar interests. Like, I showed up in a pair of shoes, and Mason commented on my shoes, and even when he was a teenager, and I act like I'm 20 years old, even though I'm 43, and like, I don't know. I mean, it's just how God made me. It's not anything I try to go out and do, but we just hit it off. And
So were you
and
saying
same
you're
with-
born this way?
yeah, I was totally born this way.
Okay.
And then God cultivated and sculpted me into this version of me. I'm
Yeah,
not
you're a good
satisfied, but either which way. What I'm saying is, our objective as we've gotten further down the road is we want people to come away with thinking, you know what, that was a really fun time. And it's in it sneakers, or you can just add on to whatever it is, basketball or football or whatever, is just a connection point to start a relationship with somebody that ultimately we'd love it to mean that you had a relationship with God. Like, that's like a underlying theme of everything that we do. Sounds like yours was more intentional about, maybe not even intentional. It was just a different thing, right? It was more of church, maybe.
Oh, my podcast.
Your
I hosted?
podcast.
Yeah, I mean, I think too, it was like an excuse. It was like this weird marriage of it's okay for Christians to like clothes.
Oh yeah.
And so
we feel
again,
that.
similarly, we used fashion as a segue into like talking about faith and whatnot. For instance, in our show, we would do it was called the post tithe pickup, meaning, Mason, after you paid your 10% to the good Lord, what was the last thing, clothing or otherwise, you picked up? And
That's
so the
great.
PPP, post tithe pickup, we tried to like work that in to what we did. But yeah, dude. So I've enjoyed the y'all's pod. Again, I feel like I glean more from it because number one, I'm not listening or I'm not watching on YouTube. So if you're on the podcast app right now, close your freaking browser down and open up this joint on YouTube. So number one, I never like see the sneakers, and then number two, I don't go back and look at them. But yeah, it's like I like the little like parenting moments, friendship moments, things you learn,
That's super sweet.
so on and so forth. Because if I just think about it too, like this sneaker world, it's such a weird predication of like value that it doesn't feel like exists. Meaning like, okay, the Bozo 3s just came out. with a collab with Bozo the Clown, and if you click the heels together, they make a honk honk noise, and it's like everyone's like, oh, I can't wait to buy those for resale. That's gonna be really good. But it's like, who are they reselling them to? Who is like, God, I want the Bozo 3
Who's the
so
idiot?
bad.
Who's the idiot that's wanting to buy it? Yeah.
And so it's everyone. It's something being like hyped in value, and it's this perceived value, but then it doesn't truly become scarce. Like where once upon a time, like the inventory was scarce, therefore it up to the value. Where now it doesn't feel like it is scarce, so nothing's worth anything. And like when nothing's worth anything, the flex of wearing it doesn't matter anymore either. Like, and the taste, like the IQ has gone down into where that let's just say a hypothetical here, folks. Someone shows up to maybe the place they work and what looks like a pair of bred ones, but then come to find out they're really mid.
He's making fun of me.
Bred ones, right? Let's just say
somebody like painted them for him or something.
Nashville man, free shout out.
But like the average, again, like person's like, whoa, those are Nike sneakers. Or once upon a time, again, there's a difference in a high and a mid. Let's get real. There's a difference in a bred high, in a mid. Like the average sneaker consumer now is like, oh, Nike sneakers, black and red. And so but I don't know if that gives the average sneaker person a pass that they like can lose the pressure of having sick shoes, or if it truly takes the fun out of it. You know what I mean? Because when you do show up in the 2016 bred ones or the 2012 Chicago ones, there should be a little gusto in your like, you know what I mean? You know whose palms I had to grease for these? You know how many eBay pages I had to scour for this?
So in theory, if were you anti-fakes or were you pro-fake?
I'm not pro anything per se. I'm probably anti-fake, but I'm also a rule follower typically in my life. So if there's a world where I like think it's unjust to wear a fake sneaker, then I would never bring myself to do it.
Unjust.
Yeah, meaning like it's not authentic. But then also too, like what is authentic? Like because it didn't come in a Nike box yet, it was made in the same factory.
It's a principle.
That's a good point. Yeah, it is.
I'm also, though, I was telling Hayes, I'm testing theories right now where how many like white lies can I tell before I get in trouble?
I've witnessed this. This is great.
Around
this is great
like stupid things. So, for instance, Mason, let's try this, okay? Pretend we meet and you ask me where I'm from.
I love this.
Ask me where I'm from.
Where are you from, Coop?
Oh, hey, I'm from here. Okay, now that was a lie. That was a lie.
Right. So
now we'll try it again. Ask me where I'm from.
Where are you from?
Oh, well, that's funny. So I was actually born in Texas, and then I moved here from Colorado. But after I had already lived in Arizona, and then before Arizona, I was actually in Colorado. So, but I moved here about 6 months ago.
Gotcha. Okay, you lost me there, but
exactly. But if I just tell you
I'm in trouble with that one.
If I just tell you I'm from here, you're like, okay, cool, and then we can move about our.
That's so great.
That's fantastic.
Okay, because I was talking
like a
I
social experiment.
like the theory.
It's like where you're from is like this immutable characteristic, meaning like your skin color, you can't change it. And so like essentially it's the lowest common denominator someone has to try to build a connection with you is where are you from? Because if you tell me you're from Michigan,
go to man, you hear me do this every day.
I know, but if you tell me you're from Michigan, I'm like, oh, do you like apples? I know Michigan big on the arbors, or the orchards. But if it's like, oh, Hayes, I noticed your shoes. Are you into sneakers? What was the last shoe you got? That is like something someone like thought about and is an outward expression, not where they're from. So it's like I'd rather someone be like, "Oh, sick cowboy hat. Do you ride horses?" Yeah, rather than "Where are you from?" So again, that's my like test of what white lies can I tell, primarily around where are you from.
So would you be more likely to be okay, let's say you are your car right now is a NASCAR and you got sponsorship.
Mm-hmm.
It sounds like you're way more likely to be sponsored by Wrangler,
Mm-hmm.
Lee, and maybe Panhandle Slim than
Oh
anybody
yeah,
else.
that's the other grievance I need to bring up on this podcast, dude. It's freaking Panhandle Slim over here, dude. My culture is not your costume. Do you understand me?
Dude,
Do you understand
I
me?
wear that like I'm a native Texan. You get off my back.
And I was fuming at that episode.
Why?
It's fine.
It's
I don't want to talk about
respect.
it.
It's a respect thing.
It's
Dude, the
fine.
Southwestern vibe, I'm telling you, I guess it's me and you now. We are bringing that into 2024. You better watch out. It's going to be heavy on the Southwest theme for me especially.
Which I'm fine. I feel like everyone has these turning points where, like, again, so for me, the turning point to this Western vibe is I grew up in East Texas. So I grew up around cowboys and rodeoers and all these types. Did I dress like that? No. I was the
You were a skateboarder.
I was the long-haired skinny jean skater. And so I wanted to be anything but what my hometown was, right? So I wanted to be so different. Exactly. The circle's gone full. In that now that I'm becoming a man in who I believe God's calling me to be and owning my faith and leadership and leading my family, the picture of like what a man dresses like are these freaking cowboys I grew up around. Wow. And so it's like this, okay, that is the image and the way of life. I actually have an idea for another podcast, guys. I'm not going to steal the show and launch the name of my new pod here, but it's good. It's really good. But that's like the picture of, again, like, okay, I'm becoming this man. So again, Hayes, you're 10 years ahead of me. So maybe you're hitting this, you know what? Like, I love sneakers, but it's time for me to get some freaking work done, Bubba. Let me put on my Panhandle Slim and just, a pair of boots.
But see, I do both. But see, I dabble in both. So I'll have a Panhandle Slim with some Jordans. You know this way. You know this. Of course I go both ways. I'm 100% bilateral, or whatever you want to call it.
Bipedal. Bipedal meaning you have two legs.
That's what I am.
Anyways, I do want to get inside the box, Mason.
All right.
You've brought some gear.
Right. Yeah, we got some stuff.
What's inside the box? That's my shoe in the box.
This is great.
Okay, my other qualm with that transition
is
that the audio ends so abruptly. It's like, what's in the box? Okay, so we're gonna.
But what about
these are 2017s, and it's like I wish the audio went for like 2 more bars.
That's a little. Yeah, the fading is not great with this software that we're running.
But hey, whoa! Let me say this: we're doing all this at a minimum budget. Which
I know.
I say that we just pay for the podcast streaming, and that's pretty much it. Is that fair?
I get it. But even in that clip, if you put the end of the clip out 2 more bars and just the music that's there
let it roll,
and it fades to end.
That's good.
And then we come back on.
Okay. Listen, I'll let you figure that out.
Yeah,
but it's fine. It doesn't matter.
I'll have to dig in the archives to find that and switch it up.
Okay, what's in the box?
All right, first one in the box, going to LeBron James. This one was for Hayes, one of our favorite LeBron shoes. He's mixing the LeBron 20 with the Zoom Generation 1.
Yeah.
Don't love the sock combo, but what are you feeling about these, Hayes?
Don't love the sock combo. I like the idea. I don't like the 21. right? This is the 21. This is the new one, right?
This is like a
Hybrid or something.
20 like hybrid. if
And
that makes
or is this the
sense.
witness? Is this probably like the
No,
LeBron?
it's like the playoff version of the LeBron 20. So this isn't the 21.
I like this. I wouldn't wear it, but I like it. I like what he's trying to do.
Yeah, looks like it has first game as the tab on the back. So these are the model is reflective of his rookie game. I think this was his, what would it be, 22nd anniversary or 21st?
Is he playing against the Kings in this game right here? That would be even more appropriate.
I doubt it. I don't think they've played against the
That's a
Kings
darn
this year.
shame.
But Coop, what do you think about him?
I don't care.
I love it. All right, let's go.
Fair.
It's like
All right,
also too. It's like so. For instance, 2, Fast and Furious, Hayes' favorite movie franchise. We know the
Never
reason
seen
people
one of them.
like
maybe
them.
maybe I saw the first one and I haven't seen any since. So I don't know.
Right, there's like
Go
12 movies. Right, the reason people like them is they become more absurd every time. They up the ante with every release. So when you get to these dynasty shoe brands like the LeBron 29, it's really splitting hairs between the LeBron 26. It's like they should be indistinguishable. Like it should be such iteration, or keep it the same. Like just do one thing with whatever, it's better collabs or better whatever. It's just like a shoe that's slightly different than the other shoe you made. Who the freak cares?
Well, I feel like we got that with most LeBrons and most Jordans for a series of years, to your point.
It's like, then you just got to call it. Like, just finish it out. Just call it. It's the last one.
Call it quits.
Yeah.
It's a money. It's a money problem. Too much money there.
No more
I
money.
hate to see it. All right. What's next?
All right, this could be these might be able to go with your cowboy aesthetic. We've got some new rumored Amamanier 3s and 4s coming out in next year. A little alternate colorway from what we've seen in the past. Thoughts, Coop?
Number one, is Amelie, where are they? Philadelphia? Where are they?
They're Atlanta and DC and somewhere else. Can't remember the third one.
Okay. Number one, I don't mind a trip to the Tone Zone. You know what I'm saying? All the tone. It sounds like our old boy Landon would love these. He's a big, earth tones. I would say these look great. I told Hayes the one 3 or Jordan that I would consider was like a Mocha 3. Acquiescing, and so I enjoy those. Enjoy these. I had once upon a time, folks, 4s. This was maybe 10th grade, and this before I even knew about Jordans. A buddy had given me. They were the white and red 4s. I don't believe they were called fire red 4s because they weren't all red, but they were the like white pair with the red, whatever. But they had the Mars Blackman little face with the glasses and the flipped up hat on them. And I had those, and they were too small, but they were just super funny because they were just red, white, and blue, black Jordans with little Mars Blackman. Not black face, just Mars Blackman face on there.
Wow. Wasn't expecting that.
But I like these. These are cool. I like the tones. Probably, I don't know. It's hard to say, man. I'm probably gonna go with the 4s on this one. Hayes Holla, chime in, big dog.
Easily going with the 4s. Something about the gray upper on the 3 doesn't look good, and I know it'll look different in hand. But I'm a big fan of these 4s, and I'm gonna pass on the 3s.
I believe they used whale blubber on the upper on this one.
It looks more like a marshmallow tone.
I think, if the 3 is white, then definitely going with the 3. But I'm with you guys. I feel like this 4 we've seen plenty of times, though.
So look at the heel tab on the 3, and then look at the color, and you.
It does look gray. Yeah,
it's easier to see. Yeah, the 4 is a beautiful shoe. Like that could go with a lot of different stuff. I like the aged look. This is a 4 easily.
Yeah, this 4 seems very familiar, but I can't put my finger on it.
Yeah, it's fair.
So I'm glad we got one that you like, Coop. I wasn't sure we were going to get there, but let's see
I mean,
about
I can
these.
appreciate, but also too, guys, like, and I hate to be that guy, but it's like, yeah, they put brown on a shoe and a cream sole. Like, dang, dude, you cracked the code right there. It's not like Ame Leon Dor hasn't been doing that for the past 3 years.
That's fair, yeah.
Dear God, you know. The other thing too is all the freaking, what do I call them? I don't curse, guys. I don't cuss, and I'm not going to cuss on this pod.
You shouldn't.
But how I describe it is like the tote bag mofos, like the boys out here in Nashville with like tote bags and like a bunch of tiny tattoos, like black tattoos all over, and they're like rolled
You're
beanies.
talking about the man purse bags.
Yeah, exactly. Like, they got their tote bag with their like Tolkien novel in it that they're going to read at their coffee shop. And again, they're in their Carhartts and in loafers, and it's like, dang, dude, what a friggin' combo! The workwear, like when his fit says labor, but his hands say latte. You know what I'm saying? And it's like,
How is that any different than the Southwestern versus the Nikes? It's not. Keep going. Sidebar. Keep going.
I'm not saying I like the tote bag mofo, but what I'm saying is it's like, oh, give them a cream shoe, and they just go nuts. Like, oh, these are so sick. And it started with the Club C's. The cream Club C's were the gateway drug. Again, they became the Air Force One for the artsy farts. And then it's like, oh, now we're in our New Balance 550s. And then ALD brought the New Balance 550s. And again, it's just any cream shoe. So, yeah. Do I have a little tote bag boy in me? For sure. But, yeah, it's a nice shoe. But like at the end of the day, like, oh, it's brown and cream. Sick.
Does anything ever get you back in? Is there any is there a trigger
good
point,
question.
or is there a?
Well, I think too, you gotta,
like, let's just call it like that. Is there something that you just like, I gotta have it. I'm gonna do at least that one shoe.
I would have to say too, and we'd have to look if we can get a release date on the Mocha 3s. It's just something like that, that hits all these nodes decades ago. You know what I mean? It's like, it was the first lightning strike. It was this meeting of the creams and the browns and the earth tones before it was on a freaking Polaroid lookbook. And not to piss on ALD, but Ame Leon Dor, there was this whole thread where someone went through and found all these George Costanza fits from Seinfeld and like current ALD like pieces, and they're literally the exact same thing. So it's like, did Teddy Santis just go through Seinfeld and poach George Costanza fits? So it's like,
whoa, wait a second. Was it? Kith just had a Seinfeld collab recently.
Which maybe they did. I'm talking about ALD.
No, I know what I'm saying, but it would make sense if, I mean, because those guys are from New York too.
Oh yeah, and of course Seinfeld's iconic in that. But it's like, again, the greats, the great painters of our day. You know what I mean? It's like stuff like the Mocha, stuff like the Bread 4. When that came out, that it was the impetus. It was the Big Bang. So like, yeah, maybe something like that. But again, I've got too much that I could spend my money on that to acquiesce something like this. It's just like, who cares, man?
That makes sense. All right, I'm sorry. Move on. Let's go, Mason.
No worries. Good question. Here's one that I think could get Hayes to buy some sneakers. I'm not sure. But we're going way back to the 90s on this one.
Oh, yeah.
Air Tech Challenge 2 coming out. I think fall of next year. Could be wrong in that. Sometime next year. The Andre Agassiz. Hayes, will this get you excited?
Yeah, I had some of these before COVID, and I sold them because they were actually an 11.5. And I just love this. This shoe just has a nostalgic place in my heart because I got them in 1990. And so I found them, man, I think I found them in an outlet, but they were an 11 and I squeezed into them. And so I wore them 2 or 3 times. Like, this is just too small. And so I sold them. This would be one that I would buy these.
All right. We'll get that release date for you.
Oh, I thought of another shoe. I thought of another shoe that would piqued my interest.
Spit
Would you
it.
like to know what it is?
No.
We would.
Okay, yeah, we can move on. Okay, Lance Mountain Jordan 1s.
It's a classic.
Skateboarding.
That's old.
Mm.
Yeah. What? That's like 2003, 2004.
No, I think it's 2013.
Oh, a lot newer than I was thinking. Then I must be thinking of something else.
Hey, I got to say something real quick. This shoe, there's 3 shoes that make me feel this way as this Agassi. And they're all in the same, they might be the same year or within 1 or 2 years. It's the Bo Jackson, what is now called the Auburn colorway.
Mm-hmm.
And then the Jordan 5 Grape. These 3 shoes are like all a major point in my life. And this is the only, no, I had the Bo Jacksons too. I never had the Jordans because they were too expensive.
Are you talking about like the Fresh Prince Jordans?
Yeah, the grapes. Yep. Which I
The
had
white-
once.
the
Mason,
white ones?
Yeah, the grape 5s.
Mm-hmm. I have them. You didn't give me your pair though.
Okay. All that to be said, that's why I like these, is that it's the same feeling as those other 2 shoes. I love, this is 1991 and I was 11 or 12. And this is
Nice, dude.
This is perfect, man. This shoe is so dope.
Jeez, you're old, man. We
I
weren't even
believe
born
Andre
then.
Agassi and like is it John McElroy? Like all
McElroy?
big former big tennis pros, all big pickleball guys now.
Huh.
Yeah,
Didn't
Like
know
I've
that.
seen that.
They compete in like pickleball things.
We need to have a pickleball podcast to get our future intern Dean on. Speaking of Dean, what's your thoughts on clouds?
Mine?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I know Hayes hates them. Number 1.
That's a point. 1 point.
I watched a whole thing about them. Swedish footwear brand, I believe.
What do you got against the Swedes?
Nothing. Roger Federer got behind it and started blowing it up.
That makes sense.
Part owner.
He gets behind a lot of things.
They just signed the guy named Rich Roll, who hosts the Rich Roll podcast, who is a professional ultra runner and very successful, who had a very long-standing career with Solomon, and he recently took an endorsement with OnCloud. So I think they're making a big play both in the I won't say the sneaker world, but I could see that being next, but obviously in like essentially the tech performance space, and then the everyday wear. I would not be surprised to see an OnCloud proper collab with someone.
Did they do Kith already? Hayes, do you remember? Was that a Kith collab with Federer?
Oh man, yes, that was, because remember the packaging on that was really perfect. It was the clay.
Yes, the clay. Yeah,
great packaging.
Yeah, that sounds sick. I don't have a pair.
Jackass.
What?
That's such a sarcastic. I love it.
I don't have a pair. I think when I was contemplating sneakers, because I was also in when I moved here. So again, going back to I was a skater in a town of cowboys. I am used to fitting in by standing out, right? Oh, I'm so different. Help me fit in. And when I moved here, I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. I just want to fit in. So I went all in. Mason, you like this? I'm a big Vols fan. All in Vols, all in Tennessee. And so I'm like, how can I look like I'm from Tennessee? And so I was like, okay, as I get some sneakers, what's like what everyone's wearing? And so the two, really, it was mostly New Balance was the main focus. But I was like, OnClouds. My wife's like, no, please don't get those. So
yes,
I don't think I will ever own a pair because she doesn't like them.
How about Crocs?
So number one, y'all need to leave Landon alone. He's broadening his mind. Okay. He is in the Gorp phase, as I would call it. It's that adventure, outdoor, high fashion tech wear. Gore-Tex is right there with Gorp. I do not think Crocs look, again, like a man doesn't show up to do some job or like fight somebody in a pair of Crocs. You know what I'm saying? But his main expression, so I've heard, is the camping trip. Right. Do I own a pair of Crocs? Yeah, I acquiesced some during the pandemic. I've now shifted that my slide of choice oscillates between the Birkenstock Boston and the Birkenstock Arizona. Now, Birkenstock Boston, the toes are covered. That's the drop top, right? It's all covered up. Arizona's, those puppies bang. And 2 summers ago, I got the Arizonas for Father's Day, I believe, and I'm a big toes out guy now. So I'm wearing those Arizonas all summer long. I get the Birkenstock tan. I don't care about it. So I'm rocking and jocking those. My wife doesn't believe men should wear flip-flops out in public, so that would prevent me from a proper thong sandal. But I don't think the Crocs a bad choice, but it's just not the best choice.
I feel like your wife has very good taste in
She sure
footwear.
does.
No.
I feel like I will say this too. I feel like you are very reasonable. You're very thought out in why. Most people come on here and it's a very superficial reason that they prefer XYZ. And I can't even argue because of how intentional and deliberate you are. And I appreciate that.
Thank you. But when it comes to the Crocs, though, it's like, what is the purpose? Like, truly, what is the purpose? And do you need a waterproof shoe primarily? Like, is the activity requiring the waterproofness? Like, I wore my pair of Crocs to the gym as my shower shoe, but it's just too much shoe. Yeah, it's waterproof, but it's too much shoe for water to get in. Like, yeah, it's got 57 holes, but not enough.
That's fair.
All right.
The only thing I've found for Crocs is mowing the yard. Truly, you can take them off, spray them, but that's just me. Those have been long gone for me. So,
but see, that's scary to me because what happens if that weed whacker takes a turn, old boy? You know what I'm saying? That Evo,
yeah.
That Evo ain't that strong, dude. They don't got the steel-toed Crocs on them, so you may be getting 30 lashes. If you know what I'm saying.
That's fair.
Yeah, I gotta say 2 things. So if y'all next time I mow my grass, I gotta show you guys. I need to take a picture or have somebody take a picture of me in my grass mowing outfit currently. Because to your point, it's I'll call them wader boots, and I usually go sockless, so they stink. I mean, they smell so bad, so sweaty, but they're like rubber boots that come up to my shin almost.
Is this, sorry to interrupt you, is this the shoe? I feel like we've seen this shoe. Did you eat cereal out of this?
I ate cereal out of them. Yep.
Oh, yeah, that's disgusting.
Those shoes, I'm still mowing the grass in. But I've only crocked it once, and I borrowed some Crocs from my mom to go to the lake, and that was convenient, especially in sport mode. And that
cool flex.
That's where I was going to go on that.
You and your mom have the same size?
No,
Croc?
it was way small. It was it was not
Just
close.
curious. Okay.
They were available, and I didn't want to go in what I had on. Hey, it's late. Get out of here, boy.
Wait, do we have any more segments?
We got some more. It's up to you.
It's so late.
I just want to see any more inside the box, and then all
right, we've got some on the fringe. We've got some.
We technically have 2 minutes left in the hour-long episode.
Yeah, for guests we usually stretch it, but let's see.
I'm just trying to be respectful of your time. Oh, I forgot I sent you this.
Yep. De'Aaron Fox becomes the first. How do you say this? The first active NBA player signed to a shoe deal of another active NBA player. So he signs with the Curry brand. He'll get his own signature shoe, I think, is what I read.
Yeah.
From Flow, Curry Flow. I don't know what that technically is, but
and they played against each other in the second game of the season, which is kind of weird, right? Because I'm sure they had to spend a little bit of time with each other.
Yeah. So interesting, not interesting. Do you care? Let us know, Coop.
No comment.
I kind of care because I've been doing some research on the Curry brand. I feel like this has been documented on here. I could definitely play ball. Not that I play a lot of ball. I mean, it's now at this point been well documented. But I would, based on the story surrounding the Curry sneaker, and I don't hate it. Especially the new model is not bad. This is a cool idea. It's interesting that this has never happened, where a current player signed. That's interesting. You think about all the Nike guys ever, and this has never happened before. That's interesting.
Yeah, you would have thought at some point at the Jordan career, at the end
Yeah.
of his career, that he would have had somebody. I agree. Last one. This one's just on there for Hayes. Mr. Beast and Feastables gets his own jersey patch for Charlotte. Hayes, any comments?
Yes, I have a comment. So tonight, I'm pretty much, I will say, full blown back into my basketball. Tonight I watched the Grizzlies played. I watched part of the Grizzlies game, most of it. They're 0-4. It was not pretty. But then I also watched the first half of the Nets and the Hornets. And I noticed that immediately. I noticed the Feastables called my kids and they're like, Mr. Beast is on the Charlotte Hornets. They loved it. But here's the thing about the Charlotte Hornets. You're hearing it here first. The Charlotte Hornets have a player who was the second pick in the NBA draft. His name is Brandon Miller. He's from Antioch, Tennessee. Tonight, he had 22 points and 9 rebounds and 2 assists. He was 7 out of 15. He was 2 out of 5 from 3. He's going to be a generational NBA talent. And I'm hoping I can get a Brandon Miller jersey for Christmas. But that's
not the second pick that I thought you were going to talk about, because it's been also well documented that you have trashed this guy's tattoos, and this one you can see it on his hand here. Like, what is he doing?
That's fair. He
That's
doesn't
a bad. That's a bad ink right there.
He doesn't have bad. He will not. He will regret that when he is 60.
Coop, any comments on Mr. Beast or Feastables making their way to the NBA?
I mean, it one makes sense because Mr. Beast grew up an athlete. He's from Charlotte, so it's the progression
It
of
does make sense.
Creators becoming the new celebrities. So makes total sense.
Yeah,
you're educated.
It's pretty awesome. How cool would it be to have a patch, a still dripping patch on the Grizzlies jersey? It'd be pretty dope.
Oh, dude!
I think we're only like 80 million or so away. Somewhere around in that.
Do a little bit of research and find out how much that would run and see what we can do.
But
I'm
also,
not going to, but we can.
I'm going to end this on this note, folks. What do any of those and they're professional athletes? I don't know any of these people personally, but it's like, what did these bozos do to earn your cosign? You know what I'm saying? Like, what did these jokers do to earn the seal and then insignia of godly men that are growing together and focus on whatever? Like, what? Because people watch them? Yeah, right, dude. I'm gonna reserve that. I'm gonna reserve that like a freaking wild card in Uno. I'm gonna wait to hit that draw for at the perfect time. So don't go pimping out yourself. And also, too, to your point, why haven't other NBA players done it before now? Probably because back then men were men and didn't want to pimp out themselves under somebody else's umbrella, saying, I'm not good enough to get my own shoe, but Curry will let me, lick his laces. And so I'll get a sub shoe under him. You know, they're like, either I get a shoe or I don't. And it is what it is. Now wrong, they do also call me Cars Curry because my 3-pointer is sick. And on that, it's been an honor, folks.
The honor was all ours.
Amen, bro.
We will definitely have you back on. I would say shout out your Instagram, but you already told us that you're social media free. So
shout out your family. Tell your family how much you love them.
I will. Family, I love you guys. I didn't realize it's almost 11 o'clock.
I was saying get out of here.
But I thought we started we started at 9:30.
Yeah.
That's what it was. I thought we started at 9, so I was like, how's it almost 11? Here's what I'll leave the Still Drippin' Army with. Is number one, social media is just here. It doesn't love you. Use it as a vehicle to find meaningful friendships, and then make your own Instagram via text thread. Just text your buddies the funny things you see. Your life will be easier. Do something hard this next year. I did a race for my 30th birthday. I ran 31 miles. for one race, and it
Wow.
was the hardest thing I've ever done. It was the best thing I've ever done. Do something hard, get hard, get proud of yourself, and then let that compound interest roll into the next thing. And it's awesome to like shoes, but it's even more awesome to love God and like yourself, and get some true swagger, and stack the deck. You're like, oh man, I just did something freaking hard. Next time, something challenging comes in my way, I can own it and do it. So you all have greatness inside of you. It's all a choice, and if you listen to these guys, you're in the right place.
Woo-hoo-hoo!
I think that might
Preach,
be our last
son.
podcast ever. That feels
Preach,
like a good one.
sir.
Thank you so much.
Respect.
Yes,
Have
sir.
a good one.
God bless y'all. See ya.
Wow.
Where do you go from there? I think he's like once a
This
month.
has been the struggle.
Once a month, like a little segment from Coop.
That's what I'm telling you, man. He is probably a drip sergeant. I think we're on the same wavelength in most things.
How
y'all
reaffirming about all the non-sneaker stuff. That was very reaffirming. This hat is just hideous. What am I doing?
Dude, wait a second. So speaking of, let me tell you, because it's kind of related, a more than sneakers moment. So Coop and I sit between this other guy, and he was even saying the other day, it's like a generational thing. So I'm in my 40s. Coop just turned 30. This dude is 22, just got engaged like a week ago. And so he was super excited because he got his first pair of Jordans, and he came in the Jordan 3 Palomino, and they're really dope on foot, but he was so excited to like show Carson and I his shoes. And I was like, man, those are dope. Those are sick. I mean, your first really pair of sneakers is a 3. It's just downhill from this point. But that was a cool moment too. So anyway, he's a good guy, man. That was a really fun one. He definitely is a regular.
Yeah, that's awesome. That was so much fun.
That was fun.
He was very quick-witted too.
What we didn't get to discuss.
Was laughing a lot more on the inside.
I really wanted to get into a game. He has the most expansive vocabulary of anyone I've ever heard.
Oh yeah.
Like if I am a whatever on, like, I'm glad he said this because it's true. Like when it comes to my job, where I win is relational. Like that's where my strong suit is. His is like professionalism, and he's got a lot of stuff that I just don't have. But one of the things is like he's got the biggest vocabulary of anybody I've ever met. Probably, I don't know half the crap he says in a good. Like I'm not trying to. I was like acquiesce. I didn't know that was even a thing until he said it, and he said that to me 6 months ago. Right? I was like, what the heck is acquiesce? What does that even mean? I'm from Antioch, Tennessee. Home of Brandon Miller, who's going to be a generational NBA talent.
Home of Jelly Roll as well.
And Jelly Roll.
You got,
and
you guys are killing it.
Freaking holla.
Hayes Holla. Well, yeah, I don't really have many more words. I mean, I feel like he summed it up perfectly. Yeah. I'm definitely cutting that clip up.
Cut it up.
Because he nailed the goal of our better than we have ever said it. Whatever he said is what I'm just going to write that down and read that from now on about our podcast.
That was excellent.
So
that was very good.
My director came to me for my More Than Sneakers moment. My director came to me a couple weeks ago now. He was like, hey, I saw this pair of shoes on the Tennessee sideline, and I want these. Can you, if I show you a picture of them, can you figure them out? And it was a shoe that I already had. It was the Air Max 1. I'm forgetting the colorway, the orange colorway that I have, Tennessee Vols colorway. And we looked them up together, and I couldn't convince him to pay the $250 for them. An Air Max 1, an orange Air Max 1. I think that's what he said. I'm pretty sure for his size was $250. Is that insane? That seems stupid to me.
Insane.
I couldn't even justify. I was like, you could get them, but I don't think it's worth it. Like, there's a lot of shoes that I would pay that much for.
There's no way.
And this isn't one of them.
Air Max 1.
Yeah.
The only Air Max one that you should even ever consider paying over $200 for is the chlorophyll. Maybe the red, maybe the OG,
The
maybe,
Cherrywood? Oh, the OG red. I gotcha.
but chlorophyll is a grail for me
Which is a
that I will
collab.
have at some point.
So it's very expensive.
Yeah,
Right?
it's
Chlorophyll's
it's
Pata collab,
$1,000.
right?
It is.
Yeah.
No. It's like the OG is.
Oh, the 90
yeah,
or the
it's
80.
probably $1,000. It's a
I
stack.
gotcha. Whew.
All right, let's get up out of here.
All right. Thank you for listening to the Still Dripping
Happy
Happy Hour.
Halloween, but love Jesus, because Halloween is a facade. But if you want to have fun with your kids, you should go be a good dad tomorrow night, which is why we're doing this on Monday night.
Yeah, amen. Yes, Halloween is not. It's not the devil's holiday, the birthday or whatever you were told growing up. It's just
It's pagan, bruh.
it's pagan. There's other holidays that are related to Halloween that are not pagan, but regardless,
Anyway,
have fun. I mean,
yep.
do
Everybody
what you do.
go be a good dad.
Yep. And
I'll try to find you tomorrow night, my friend.
I already told you
I'll be
I'm
on the
gonna be.
lookout. Oh shoot, that's
be
right. Crap.
in Spring Hill, out in the Spring Hill boonies. Not really,
That's a
but
dang
regardless,
shame.
we love you all. We'll see you next week. Would have loved to have that Coop Clean vocabulary rapping on the pod.
Oh, he's a dope rapper too. He can do it.
Are you
Next
seriously?
time. Yep,
All
next
right,
time
well,
we'll rap
we'll
together.
make it a shorter one next time. I'm rambling on here. Any last words, Hayes? What'd you learn today?
I gotta use the bathroom.
Did you learn anything?
This is exactly what we wanted it to be. It's community. It's disguised as sneakers. That's what I have.
Beautiful. And with that, we'll see you all next week. Peace.